I am the Commissar, that's my name. Forged alliance forever, that's the game. Who have we got with a claim to fame? Today, no fewer than 10 players are going to be fighting it out. We have the North team in the north, the South team in the south. Let's go in and meet them. For the North team, in what I presume is the rearguard air position, HanSolo, 1200 rated, UEF in baby blue. In front of him, Kenny Lee 090, 1500 rated, Cybran in fecal brown. We've seen him a couple of times recently. Here at the back in the centre, CM Nicholas, 1500 rated, UEF in dark blue. Moving on across, Bottleofwater, more commonly known as You, so if I accidentally call him You and we have to go through a whole Abbott and Costello who's on first routine, no, you, me, no, who, then that's why. He is 1800 rated, the highest rated player for the northern team. He is Eon and he is in light green. And last but not least, for the northern team, this is Dauntee, 1400 rated. He is Seraphim in purple, and there he is in the corner walking away to the front, just there. Now for the south team. In the air position, Dark-Sentinel, today's lowest rated player at 900. He is playing UEF in mauve. In front of him, we have Spectre Slave 137, who is 1600 rated, Seraphim in white. In the central position, and walking forward there, we can see Hyper 2001, who is 1400 rated, and Cybran in grass green. Back here, we have XxOmegatrocityxX, whom we've seen before as C2118 Freedom. He's 1900 rated, in dark green, and he's playing Cybran. And last but not least, here's his base, but there he is in the far distance walking away to the front, all the way up here. This is TouchMyBerrys, who is 1600 rated, and he's playing UEF in burgundy. Quick look at the map. Now, we noted in the chat that Nicholas and Kenny were quite insistent that this plateau needed to be dropped, and you can see why. There's immense amounts of reclaim on it. There's also heaps of reclaim here and here to contest. Expansions, reasonably safe for each side, but not completely uncontestable, and a lot of scattered mexes across here, but this plateau is going to be where all the contested stuff is mainly at. So, Berries is very far forward with his comm, much further forward than his mirror Dauntee, who's stopped at this expansion. Whereas Hyper is going, rather than dropping the plateau, he's just going straight forward with his comm to get an edge build on it. Looks like Dauntee is preparing a little tank and lab raid, which could get stuff done. There's a lot of space to expand into here, which will need a lot of engineers to spread out through it. So that could be a very good place to raid. Berries, however, doesn't think so, and he is busy being greedy about his own stuff. And the first drop to the plateau comes from Omega. Now, at Omega we've seen doing a lot of drop work before, so it's no surprise that he's dropped it first. And immediately he throws down, well, he throws down a land factory, ignores it, and goes and builds 4, 5, 6, 7. That's a lot of other land factories he's built elsewhere. And that little raid from Dauntee, we noted, it does pick up an engineer and stop the expansion, and he's got another one coming down here, which looks like it might get some tasty kills, though this will be enough to kill Dauntee's raid here if he doesn't do something about it. By do something about it, I mean run away. Meanwhile, both Nicholas and Bottle have dropped the plateau, and they've been joined by HanSolo. So we have 3 players to 2 from the northern team versus the southern team contesting the plateau. and both Nicholas and Han are sending bombers to try and evict their opponents, although we have got a defending fighter from Omega. We've also got attacking fighters supporting from both Han and Bottle, so this feels to me like the northern team just has a slightly better presence on the plateau, and this little pair of units hasn't done any raiding at all. I feel it's missed an opportunity to get in there and do some work, whereas this sort is all going to be cleared up now that Spectre's comm has come into the mix. And Sentinel is dropping these reclaim fields, which is quite nice, but unfortunately for him, Bottle's already come quite far forward with these units. That said, those engineers had more than paid for themselves in the reclaim they picked up, so it could well have been worth it. Quick look at the reclaim numbers, and we see that the southern team is already 3,000 ahead in reclaim, which is not insignificant. And they've got a 2,000 total mass lead, despite the fact that ecos, well, a second ago they were reasonably balanced, but we've just seen a big uptick from, oh no, there they go, they are balanced, that was just reclaimed. Quick look at the plateau fight. Omega hasn't given up yet, he's dropped in some more units to try and build it up, but it looks like it's a losing battle and a swarm of units from the northern team is going to take it. This was raid attempted by Kenny here, and here, but Berrys and Omega have enough to stop it, I think. A couple of boys sneaking past, and they are faster than the comm, so Omega will need to bring in units to help out if the comm can't catch them right now. Meanwhile, a rather larger conflict is battling here as Spectre's comm versus Dauntee's spam faces off. Dauntee's getting himself Tech 2 and gun, so when that comm comes in, it'll be quite the force to stop, but for now, Spectre's comm has free reign, and this is a rather larger force coming in from Kenny. If it can sneak between these two players, it might get something done, and we'll note that this hasn't even been taken by either Berrys or Omega, whereas Dauntee has safely got his hands on the equivalent spot on the northern side. The southern team being wiped entirely off the plateau. Let's see if Nicholas's early prediction that this was all going to come down to her on the plateau will turn out to be true. So this has run past both comms well. Berrys is routed to the spot, and Omega has come this way, pushing up towards where Nicholas has cheekily advanced with his comm round here. But that means that this lot of tanks from Kenny has got past them both, and there's a risk that it will get deep into Berrys' base. Large force over here massing up, but no real movement as yet. And Kenny's forces are diverting across to try and hit Omega's base over here. However, I think we have two big fights about to go down here, and this, so let's go to split screen to track them. On the left, Omega's comm here is under a lot of pressure from Kenny's units. On the right, Hyper is pushing up towards Dauntee's comm, while Spectre and his spam are pushing up towards Dauntee's units. Omega's gone down into the yellow, but this could cause a problem for him. These bombers from Nicholas might be able to deal the finishing blow, even if Berrys' spam can clear up Omega's threat from Kenny here. So Omega right down into the red, he's backing away, but the bombers come in for another pass. Boom! Omega, the highest rated player in the game, is taken out. Meanwhile, Bottle has turrets here, forcing Hyper to stay a little back, and Spectre's spam is pushing in and surrounding Dauntee's. But Berry himself is under threat on this side from the spam from Kenny, so maybe we haven't seen all the ejections just yet. Spectre has managed to separate off Dauntee's spam from his comm, and looks like Bottle is going to defend well against Hyper, but Dauntee's moving across. It seems like Spectre's got some more here. The bombers from Nicholas are still going for the comms, trying to take out Berry, but with Berry's turrets and the diminished amount of spam from Kenny, I think that Berry is going to survive, so I think we can safely go back to the single screen. Now Spectre is back here upgrading to Nano. He's got Gun, so Gun and Nano will generally beat Gun and T2. Just about. As long as the Nano can engage, but of course he's rooted to the spot while he upgrades, and so Dauntee is getting free shots at some of these units. But Spectre's noticed that, and he's pulling back and falling away. Another big spam push from Kenny, and this time HanSolo has got in there with it, into the space left by Omega's death. Now there are pillars in reasonable numbers from Berries here and here, but this push down here from Han is likely to get work done. Maybe I came out of split screen too early. Let's go back to split screen for those. So here, Han and Kenny are pushing down in large numbers, but Berries has the tech advantage. Over here, Dauntee has been surrounded, and he's shedding health, and look at that. I think that Spectre, with his gun Nanocom, is going to take the kill. I love you, says Spectre, as he surrounds Dauntee. And Dauntee is down into the red, and he control K's, presumably because he's in a position where he'll take out the most of Spectre's spam when he does so, or maybe not, maybe he just decided he hated life. Boom, Dauntee goes up, Spectre relatively unhurt. He has got to worry about Bottle's turrets and units here, but with his Nano he should easily regenerate. On this side, these turrets plus the pillars seem to be clearing up Kenny's spam, but let's go back to single screen. So here we are back on single screen, and we have Spectre well up front. Let's see whether he gets cheekily cut off or anything. Few units still trickling down here. I do like the fact that Han is dropping units down from above. He's just massing them up here, and he's got transports ferrying them down to cause problems. But with this mass of pillars, I don't think he's really going to get much done. And sure, there's been a couple of units trickling past. Maybe if he dropped them over here and tried to sneak in back past Hyper that way, he might have some more success. Sentinel keeping up the good work and sending units out by drop to pick up reclaim, because there have been some decent reclaim fields, nothing huge anymore. That's probably the biggest reclaim field over there, the fight between Dauntee and Spectre. Yeah, see, these pillars are just eating up the drops of Lobos that Han is flying down, and he would do better to cancel them, or at least reposition them. Quick look at the ecos. Northern team is over 100 eco ahead, so maybe Nicholas' prediction about he who controls the plateau controls the universe, to paraphrase a little bit there, will come true. Now, HanSolo has brought his comm forward, and he's trying to set up a firebase. Triads, shields, more triads, engineers helping out. See, this would be the perfect time for a Sparky, but no Sparkies, no love for the Sparkies. And just out of range of Berry's firebase, build that up, put a few arches there, that would be fine if it weren't for those pillars. That's a lot of pillars. And it should be enough. Oh, but there is a TMO there. poking at things. Hasn't actually killed anything yet. And that might actually be a bit of a threat, though Kenny is responding, and Kenny now has bricks in the fray. Now, obviously bricks beat pillars, but there's only a few bricks and there's a lot of pillars. So will the T1 spam make the difference? And we mustn't forget that HanSolo does have his comment here, which is T2. The pillars carefully position themselves to take out the turrets. That radar, that T2 radar, would be a nice prize. Han continues to set up turrets. And the pillars try pushing across from Berry towards this door, but we've got some... This is only T1 spam, but we've got 2 comms here and turrets. I think overall those pillars are outmatched, and they are being surrounded and swamped, and there's now 6 bricks in there. I think Berries should fall back lest he leave too much reclaim on the doorstep of the northern team. And indeed he does, but those pillars are mostly dead. Berry's starting a Monkey Lord back here in Omega's old base, the first experimental of the game. Hyper trying to shoo Nicholas off the plateau with a big heap of mobile missile launchers. He's got TMD, but it's only buzzkills. Buzzkills are pretty rubbish as TMDs go. Now watch this. Sentinel is massing strap bombers. And what can the other team... The other team's air player hasn't actually... Is he the air player? Ah, well, Nicholas has gone air, but I think that may be a reaction to HanSolo not going air. In fact, did we see... I didn't go air, make flak. And I think that may be about to pay off for the southern team, as Botter is under fire. 3 strats hit him with a wave of bombs, and he's reduced to the yellow. Strats, says Botter, and he's not wrong. But Sentinel is supporting with ASFs, and I don't think that Botter's going to survive this second pass. Our air didn't make air. You're dead. Boom. He is dead. And our second ejection from the game, or third, sorry, is the highest rated player on the northern team. So both teams have lost their highest rated players. The bricks from Kenny are pushing in, but as well as the vast horde of pillars which are still being added to, there are now a couple of bricks against them. However, more bricks beat fewer bricks, but are the pillars going to be enough to swing it? Kenny thinks so. He's falling back. Nice airbase, says Botter, feeling a bit salty about his death. Meanwhile, discovering that he's not getting much traction here, Hyper has moved that big bank of missile launchers up to engage this base, and this is quite a nice run by from Spectre, who's been picking off mexes up here with these Yenzines. He's getting a decent amount done, but that doesn't stop the fact that they're 200 eco behind now, the southern team. And the strats came across here to try and hit HanSolo, but HanSolo was well shielded and the strats didn't get any traction, so Sentinel is making them fall back. So Spectre... Oh, I want to keep an eye on those because they're still going, but Spectre has also built a bunch of MMLs to join Hypers, and that should be enough to overwhelm this base here. So we'll see whether they're able to push them back. The little attack force, that's a T3 mech though, the attack force of Yenzines is pinged, and I think it's going to get that. Because what have they got to react to it? Nothing, because they don't have an air player, and more strats massing up for Dark-Sentinel. The MMLs creep forward, but I don't really feel like Spectre or Hyper have enough to actually back it up. And so there are a couple of Harbies coming forward here. They really need to deal with these though. That's another T2 mech's picked off, and they could come back and retake this. There we go. We've got a Harby and an Othium heading out that way, which should be enough to take out that. Now, Kenny has massed more bricks, and that number of bricks, even without the help from Han, should be enough to stop Berry's pillars. Hyper sends a large force across, but this is not insignificant, and may be able to carve through this, which is mainly T1 with only a couple of T2s, but this Monkey Lord here is done, and is stomping off to go and get some work done against those fellows. Or is it? No, he's ordered it over here. I think he needs to repurpose that and send it back this way. Because I think that Hyper does not have enough to stop it here. Hyper's given some of those MMLs across to Spectre, and that bombardment is all well and good, but this is where it's all at. Those strats from Sentinel are joining in the fun, getting some work done against Kenny's bricks. But there's AA around the place, they're taking damage, and that monkey has sensibly been recalled by Berries to get his shots off into this crowd of units, and with the help of the monkey it's just about enough. Hyper is also getting bricks out onto the field. The Harbies are being swarmed by mainly T1 and a bit of T2, because the MMLs of course aren't going to be much good against mobile units. And having driven back the attack here with the monkey, Berry starts work on a Fat Boy. Now both the comms of Han and Berries are still in these forward bases. He's got a TML, and he's also got a trebuchet from Kenny lobbing shots at Berry's base. But Berries has that monkey, and in conjunction with Hyper Spam, that may be enough to get some work done. The master of T3 on this side, however, is building up, and it's my suspicion that Spectre may have to worry about it. Spectre agrees he's retreating his comm and preferring to rely on units, and he's preparing sniper bots to defend against the T3. Wave of T1 bombers from Nicholas to attack the monkey, which is already down to the yellow, and there's a lot of turrets to defend here, so I don't know how much traction the monkey's going to get. Still, Han is rightly worried about it, and he backs away with his comm as the force approaches. Sentinel responds with ASFs, clearing up the bombers, but the monkey's now on only half health, and that's a lot of bricks, which in combination with these PDs I feel will be able to stop the monkey, but not before it destroys most of this. That's a lot of T3 for Spectre to fight. I think it could be bolder. There are now cyclops in here, but I think that could be bolder. The monkey drops down into the red before regenning as it gets some veterancy. It's trying to run away and trying to come around this way. Nope, it's just trying to run away. I don't like that. Because this is all T1, the part over. Okay, now we've got some Percys coming up the behind, as it were, from Berries. But that's more bricks than Percys, and that monkey really needs to join the fight. It's probably going to die, but it needs to join the fight. That's a big drop of T3 engineers on a Continental from Sentinel, and I mean, he's not wrong. There's 10,000 reclaim there. There's also a big heap of reclaim here, which he could do with getting, but for that, there goes that monkey, but the Percys have come in, and I think overall this will be essentially a draw. Hyper has snuck a few boys past here, and they're getting some work done against that mechs, but they're not going to kill it. These turrets will destroy his last rhino before. Will they? Oof, 42 hit points on that mech, and it's regenerating because it's Cybran. Those rude Cybrans, eh? So, we've got a slight lull here. We've got a bit of fire coming down from artillery on the top. And where's Nicholas built in XP? Not seeing it yet. He'll probably scream at me. There it is. It's a GC. But in this slight lull, let's have a quick look at the eco. The North team is still only 100k ahead despite holding the plateau, but overall they have collected 100,000 mass more, and as a result Kenny also gets an XP, probably a monkey. There it is. As a result they could have a slight advantage. Tell me in the comments below who you think is going to win. As always, if you look to the end and cheat and just come back and say, ooh, so and so is going to win, I won't know, but you will. Be honourable, my loyal viewers. More Continental drops of reclaim engines into this delicious reclaim field I was mentioning. HanSolo also keen to send engineers in there, but the Continental is actually under fire, but they're only railguns, and the Continental easily drops them off. Quite a lot of railguns though, and that Continental sticking around to fight them might have been a mistake, though I guess these engines could reclaim it. Rather, however, than just get straight into eating them up, they're putting down T2 PDs, which I think is nice in combination with those Percys, but there's a monkey coming in now, and so that reclaim expedition is rather doomed. The T3 from Nicholas that has come down through Botto's old base is getting quite a lot of work done, but luckily for Spectre, he's just finished a chicken, which is here. And if that comes up through here or here, it could defend. And these sniper bots are not being charged and engaged, they're being fled from, so they could still get work done. I wonder if Nicholas knows how many sniper bots there are there. Yes, he does. So he either needs to flee that way, which I suppose he's kind of doing, or charge in and kill them all, because I think he's got enough there to mob them down. However, he hasn't got enough there to stop a chicken, especially if his units are this far apart, but Spectre's comm has been hung. Have they got some sneaky snipes planned? Meanwhile, Kenny's monkey is causing some damage. I like the fact it's cleaning up here before coming down here, but that's a lot of bricks from Hyper, and the fat boy from Berries has joined them, so I don't think that's enough for the northern team to break this field here. Drones for Berries. Wonder what he's going to use his comm to build. Ah, but that GC we mentioned earlier has come up here, and it's in a group with this large group of T3 from Nicholas, whereas the chicken over here and the sniper bots over here are a bit separated. But Nicholas isn't pushing. I feel that in order to make some use of this advantage, Nicholas needs to push in. And maybe it's too late now that this chicken is coming up here. The fat boy has got in range, and Kenny has retreated a bit on the left. Shooting down from the hill. Spectral retreats. Kenny starting a nuke. Attempts to reclaim are quickly shot down by the fat boy with its artillery. Oh, but that's bad. Poor positioning from Spectre there, as all of one arm shots and half the other arm shots are just firing into the hill. He walks forward a bit to mitigate that. And the GC pushes in, because this is, at the moment, a lone chicken, but the chicken can just sneak back away. The mighty hill, says Spectre, is my ally, pleb. Certainly Nicholas doesn't feel like that's a mountain he wants to climb. Meanwhile, the fatty creeps forward. And these things, it could bombard them at range. That ping looks like it's a suggestion. Now, I see Hyper starting the laser. A lot of games, I've seen Hyper, whenever he goes cyber, choose the telemaser, and this game is no exception. If I've spoiled his favourite strategy by warning you against it, I'm sorry. Meanwhile, Spectre has shooed back Nicholas, but it feels like Nicholas is just biding his time, and that chicken, on its own, could die to all of this horde. Spectre agrees and falls back a bit. The fatty keeps on creeping forward, and is now joined by a monkey from Hyper. So this is a big force, and could probably get something done. There's a monkey here, but there's now a fatty from HanSolo. Still, who has the more? That's a lot of T3, and I'm still feeling like this force, if coordinated, could get a lot of work done. Little engagement over here. The GC has been taken down by the Ophiums and the chicken from Spectre, and Nicholas wisely retreats a little bit. Well done to Spectre, because with the forces that were on the field, my money would have been on Nicholas in that fight, but now we have an engagement here. But Berry's Fatboy is moving forward and feeling a little bit unsupported, and it's under fire from the enemy Fatboy without returning fire to the Fatboy. Hyper's monkey all the way back here, all the T3 units back here. Berry's Fatboy loses its shield before Hans loses it. That Fatboy, I think, is going to go down, and Hans supports his attack with a bunch of Janus and Corsairs from Kenny, and in all that fire, the Fatboy dies. His air attack is just killed by the T3 anti-air here. But now we're left with a fatty and a monkey versus just a monkey and a few T3, and so now it feels like it's the northern team who has the advantage on this side. Sentinel continuing his plan of dropping engineers in, and with the wreck of a GC there, I don't blame him. That's a lot of tasty mass to eat up. Looks like we've got an arty position being prepared here. We'll see if he goes for it. Speaking of, how's Kenny doing with that nuke? Well, it's finished construction of the silo, and it's about 30% done. This is all T2 point defenses, so nothing that can stop a Fatboy. So I don't know what answer the southern team are going to have to this. Spectre's got a second chicken coming up, and has Nicholas got himself a second GC yet? Yes, he has. And he started another one, but he's only got one GC left against two chickens from Spectre. So I think that Spectre has the advantage on this side. Meanwhile, though, as we theorise, that firebase from Berries is no match for a Fatboy, which can just sit back and tear it up. And Hyper finishes that teleporter. We forgot what this, that he's been going for telemaser all this time. We mentioned it earlier, but we didn't check back on him. Now we know. The double chicken push charges in. And this has been utterly crushed. And there is that monkey from Hyper and a reasonable force, but what's it going to do? Here comes the GC from Nicholas, and he has got a lot of T3, but two chickens firing in conjunction is going to be an issue. It's being hung up here, more GC work. Another GC completed by Nicholas. The fatty continues its bombardment. Oh, but what do I see up here? Should be pulling something. Yes, yes. We have Hyper teleporting in, and Nicholas's comm, while shielded, is otherwise completely undefended. He hasn't noticed. He's not moving. The fight over here, one of the chickens is dead, the other is close to death, but the ion storms will do damage. Meanwhile, Hyper teleports in and opens fire, and Nicholas's shield sheds away. I think we're about to see another ejection. He sends all his stuff to Kenny, Nicholas agrees, and boom, he's out and down, and he explodes in fire. Now, if you noticed earlier, these Jaders could have come in and probably taken out Hyper if nothing else. But as it is, Hyper's charging his teleporter. He's just going to jump out of there. No issues. And he's probably coming back down here somewhere. There he is. Coming out. The two monkeys get into a fight and Hyper's goes down first, but Kenny doesn't survive. However, that fat boy, it has been damaged, but it's still up and running, and there's another fat boy coming up behind it, and meanwhile Kenny launches his nuke and is heading for Spectre. Spectre does not have SMD there, well, not loaded anyway. He's got a half-loaded SMD, and that nuke is going to do a lot of damage there. Spectre, I think, himself will be out of the range, and Kenny's starting a Scapis. Definitely into gaming the territory. Large gunship raid over here from Kenny, but Sentinel just eats it. Meanwhile, Spectre loses a lot of his eco. He was on 699 and he drops down to 581. So that was 120 eco killed in one glorious nuke. 50,000 mass killed. Berries is back with another fat boy. And this one has been taken out, but this one's still alive, so it's Fat Boy versus Fat Boy. The standoff continues there, but... Ooh, the SMD survived, just. So hopefully for Spectre, that will be loaded by the next time. And another big gunship raid over here, trying to stop the advancing forces of Spectre. But those gunships are not any match for Sentinel's ASFs, but Kenny is now not doing too badly on ASFs, having inherited this big air grid from Nicholas. And the air fight goes down. There's a lot of TP anti-air supporting from the ground from Spectre, but it feels like Kenny might have a little... No? This is going to be close, especially with these gunships coming in, which are trying to eat up that oh, but look at that TP anti-air eat through the gunships. I think that it's going to go in favour of Sentinel with this airfight, but only just. More fatty on fatty action as Berries now has two fat boys, and that should be more than enough to blow up this one of hands. Berries has another fat boy, and Hyper dropping in TP anti-air. It's not quite good of reclaim there. Are they planning to build experimental? I don't know. Meanwhile, we said that that was an artillery spot, and it is. It's got strategic missile defense. It's got a disruptor under construction, and this fat boy Han already reclaiming the wreck of his last one. And oh look, the engineers are in position to reclaim the wreck of this one too. But that does mean that Berry, and then he did manage to kill one of Berry's fat boys with that return fire, but Berry still has a fat boy, and Han doesn't. GC from Kenny comes out here and drives back this chicken, which is nearly dead for Spectre. Is he going to turn it around and then try and get Iron Storm this GC in front of this? That's what I would probably be doing. But also, you know, Spectre has like twice my rating, so what do I know? However, the response to this GC is strats from Sentinel, and they're not unsupported. He's probably going to lose a couple of those strats to Kenny's ASF. Is it okay? Only one goes down. because Sentinel is on point with his own ASFs, and a second round of strap bombs goes off. And another wave of straps comes in, but with this being driven back, Sentinel is wisely not pushing it, he's just defending while this lot of engineers drops in order to pick up the delicious heaps of reclaim. That's a lot of Corsairs from Kenny, who wants to take up this fat boy, and that fat boy is surrounded by T3 anti-air, but that might be enough Corsairs to run past it. It's certainly enough to take down the shield and do a significant amount of damage, but I think that fat boy survives just, unless there's anything more coming up behind it. No, there isn't. 2 GCs here now, and much less in the way of poultry, much less in the way of chickens coming out from Spectre. He's got 1 there. Also starting work on an archwasher, so... But the Scathis is done! The Scathis is done for Kenny, and I see its fire raining down upon the base of Sentinel. Sentinel himself takes some damage, and he's going to have to worry about that. That I think was the first round of fire from the Scathis, and the second one targets Hyper. Right, and these are a bit volatile, so a couple of hits from these, and boom, look at that. That is pain for Hyper. So, the southern team had actually caught up an eco there, but I wonder whether that's going to last under this Scathis fire. This does feel like it's only going to get worse for the southern team. Hyper's got a nuke of his own, but he's charging the telly. He's going to go in there and try... Yes, he's trying to take out HanSolo. But his position is extremely poor relative to the shield. There's a lot of point defense. Boom! And HanSolo survives with just 700 hit points remaining, and Hyper's sacrifice is in vain. The air grid continues to be utterly eaten by the Scathis. That nuke has still survived, but it hasn't got anything in it. Berries inherits Hyper's stuff. The Fat Boy war continues. Han has another Fat Boy out here, and Berries has 2, but that looks like some artillery fire. Yeah, there's just a bank of T2RT goes up, which of course outranges Fat Boys, so Berries will have difficulty pushing on that. And look at this Scathis destruction that's being wrought. Spectre finishes the Arsewater and gives it to Sentinel to manage with his air. Good team play there. And that's a decent amount of chickens for Spectre, so he might be able to get some work done, because there's only a couple of 1 GC trickling in, maybe? Should be enough to take that. Let's see if it manages. However, another big XP fight on the left. We have Fat Boy and Mega versus 2 Fat Boys. Fat Boys outrange Megas, and this Mega seems to be more focused on these sort of diversionary Percivals, so I think the Fat Boys will win this fight if they can kite back. But Berries isn't microing the Fat Boys. However, he is pushing in more bricks, and the Mega is targeting them, so I think that Mega's going down. Second Arsewater nearly done. And this time Spectre's anti-nuke is loaded. Oh, but that nuke's coming over here, which will probably get some damage done. And there's a Novax from Kenny just helping things out. Berry has given this bit over to Sentinel, which is nice. And Berries has got good work done here, as well as the Mega. He's also taken out the Fat Boy, so Berries has a definite experimental advantage here. He is in my... And there's a third factory coming up, but a defensive nuke here from Kenny. That would be delicious play. But Spectre has lost the anti-nuke here to Scathis fire. And also the Arse-Washer has been effectively cancelled by the Scathis killing all its engineers, so... Ooh, look at this. Spectre and a bunch of NGs from Sentinel coming forward to try and finish it, despite the Scathis fire. That's courageous. Proud of Kennel drones coming forward. They don't think they can get that because they will just be massacred by the ASFs, but they've taken up the rest of the fatties, which is nice, and another mega comes forward. But 1 mega against 3 fatties. My money's on the 3 fatties, and this has finished this artillery installation for Berries, but the instant, and his comms there too, but the instant response is Scathis fire from the artillery of Kenny, and this Arse-Washer does finish. It's badly damaged, but it finishes, and is given straight over to Sentinel again, who now has 2 Arse-Washers. What's he going to do with them? Despite all... is this actually going to survive? This heavily assisted Cybran shield is somehow surviving against the Scathis and no fewer than 3 Novaks. That is quite some cockroach-like tenacity. That mega again is under fire from 3 fatties. Don't think it's going to survive. But the Arse-Washers are on the move. Over here we've got Rambo comms, we've got multiple experimental. I don't think that GC is going to do anything, but we got to watch these Arse-Washers. Because that Scathis is remarkable. Ooh, it was taking Duke fire, and 1 Duke shell... Duke disrupted fire, 1 disrupted nearly got through, and the bombs drop. The first Arse-Washer is destroyed. The second Arse-Washer is destroyed, but it's going to fall on the Scathis. It doesn't need to. The Scathis is down. Whereas the Disruptor is still firing. Where are the Novaseas? They're here, and they're essentially, there's 4 now. This was just finished. They're essentially unshielded. That's an immense amount of mass there. Let's just check that out. 110, 130, 140,000 mass there for Kenny to eat up. Another Arse-Washer being built here. 3 chickens, 2 of them badly hurt though, against 1 unhurt GC. And suddenly, despite the fact they've held the plateau this entire game, this doesn't feel quite so great for the northern team. I mean, that said, they have got 3 Novaxes, but there's another... This is a Duke, that's a Disruptor, that's a Duke, so we now have 2 artillery pieces for the southern team, and the Scathis for the northern team. Kenny trying to protect himself with a cloak. Sentinel doing a good job of rebuilding. Who's got the air advantage? Kenny has only 26 ASFs, whereas Sentinel... Okay, Sentinel has 5? Well then. Guess I was wrong, and oh, no, I see that HanSolo. Okay, northern team has the air advantage, so what am I talking about? I'm talking rubbish. And they're going to make use of it, because that's a lot of broadswords out from Han, which should be enough to hold these back, although I say that, but... That's a lot of T3AA in there, and the broadswords notice it and fall back. But now there are 2 chickens and a GC out from Kenny here. And thanks to the damage on those chickens, 1 of which is down. Who nuked there? That was Sentinel launching a nuke from Hyper's old construction. But the RT has taken out those Novaseas, so... This defense here from Berries, keeping his stuff alive, has been amazing. Will this nuke get through? What damage is it going to do? Or have we got an anti-nuke? That anti-nuke is loaded and close enough. I think that's going to stop it. Zip, it does indeed stop it. Second nuke launcher, so doubling down on the nuke play, Sentinel here. And these experimenters are pushing in. And they're getting damage done because Spectre's chickens are well out of position. They might cancel this out, so I'm sure it should be a lot of wasted mass. I don't think that I think these need to come across here pretty soon. Meanwhile, Solo's comm is under artillery fire by the looks of things. He's got to be careful about that. Get him under some shields. Speaking of nukes, how's Kenny doing? Oh well, he's nearly loaded. And there's not much SMD in this area to stop it. Ooh, this is brutal though. The Aswash has indeed been eaten up, and where are... But look at that, that's heavily damaged. This feels like it's going to be a big win for Kenny, even if the XPs engage each other.
Strategic launch detected.
And Kenny fires his nuke, and it's going hit, and Spectre is fleeing the wrong way. We could be about to see another commander kill. That's perfect aim from Kenny, anticipating Spectre's movements. Had the pleasure of doing that myself in a recent game, and it's such a satisfying feeling when you know where the enemy comm is going to go. But look at this arty fire. We'll look at that in a moment. And this, boom, Spectre is hit by the nuke and he goes out, and let's instantly go to split screen to follow those two things. Over here, the shields have been overwhelmed and Han is not looking in a good position, but Sentinel is defending on this side against the GCs with a bunch of broadswords. Ooh, that looks painful for Han. He really needs to get his shields up. Another shell, and it might be this one. Boom! Han is taken out. Meanwhile, this... Oh, the GC's dead. These are only chickens now. This chicken dies to the broadswords. This chicken is going to die to a combination of the broadswords and the Iron Storm. I'm sure of it. And I think... And Kenny going for the laser. We'll check on that in a moment. What else has he got? He's got a cloak rather than a teleport. So maybe that's a defensive laser. Second chicken goes down. I think we can afford to go back to single screen. And what do we see up here? Kenny has overwritten that expensive cloak. He's going for the telemaser as the last player on his team. Perhaps he feels like some desperation is needed. And to be fair, Berrys doesn't have any TMD here. He's working on a third artillery piece. And nor does Sentinel really, although he's producing enough gunships that his gunships are probably pretty decent TMD. So that second nuke is ready. Well, it exists, and a third nuke is under construction, and he's got two more queued up. This is a full nuclear grid. 2 megas and... Okay, this is a big fight. Let's watch this. We have 2 megas, 3 fat boys versus 2 fat boys and a mega. But there's much more T3 and shielding on the southern side. That's a lot of AA as well. And the first mega goes down, kited well by those super shielded fat boys. The other megas engage. But look how fast this fat boy fire is going to chew through all of this. And that's nice. Look at this. We've had a continental drop, putting some bricks up there. They might get some work done. We'll check back on them in a moment. But Berrys looks set to lose the first of his fat boys. We are now down to 2 fat boys and a mega each, but Berrys has a Novax, which he's built somewhere back here. There it is, and that might end up making the difference, because an unshielded fat boy, the combination of Novax fire and fatty fire kills it. His mega goes down, and suddenly Berrys, and look at that perfect defensive ring of shields there. Looks like Sentinel's forgotten about those. Understandable though, he's bringing in a big horde of gunships to defend, and that's a nice hold from the southern team. Meanwhile, that second artillery piece has finished here, and another one is queued up, so we have 1, 2, 3 and a Novax up for Berrys, and another one on the way. And I don't think we have any long-range firepower. There's a Maver queued up, but a Maver queued up is not a Maver finished, my dudes. And there's now a 400 per tick mass lead to the southern team. It looked like the northern team were doing so well. Who do you think is going to win now? There's only a few minutes of the game left. It's going to resolve one way or the other. Look at this vast heap of bombardment raining down on Kenny, though. And the Scathis has been started by Sentinel. He didn't like the Scathis fire coming that way, so he sees no reason to believe that Kenny will like Scathis fire going the other way. But is it just me? I'm pretty sure there used to be an SMD here, but I don't see one anymore. Must have been when that Scathis fire almost but not quite broke through. And Berry is there. That could be dangerous for him. Are we really using T3 artillery fire to break through the experimental walls in preparation for a push? And that's quite some push. 4 fatties and a mega.
Strategic launch detected.
And Kenny's seen it. Berry's my dude. I know you got a shielded comm there at T3 with a delicious heap of hit points, but you haven't got any SMD. This is going to be really painful on us Berry's moves. Has he got... He's got SMD here and it's loaded, but I don't think that's in range. I think that nuke just gets past. Oh, Berry's my dude. This is gonna hurt. Boom! Berry's is sniped out by a nuke, leaving the 1500 rated Kenny against the 900 rated Sentinel. Genius, says Spectre, focusing on this. And I mean, it's an easy thing to miss. If you had an SMD and it's destroyed, you had another one reasonably nearby. That's an understandable mistake. But Kenny's comm is under significant arty bombardment, and his SMD gets destroyed. Could we be in for a return nuke? How are those nukes coming? Well, 2 of them are loaded and a third is near, and a double nuke is launched for Kenny. Could he be in for a taste of his own medicine here? Where by medicine I mean radiotherapy, haha. My word, I'm on point today with the humour, aren't I? Kenny going for the gun upgrade, perhaps thinking that... But there's another SMD and it's in range here, but the first one is taken out, the second one comes down on Kenny, but a missile defense fires off just in time. Meanwhile, gunship raider on the side here, there's a couple of GCs and a bit of T1 AA, but I don't think that's enough to stop those gunships. I think that those GCs would just die to the gunships. I'm crying, says Spectre. And we've got a teleport. Where's it going? A nuke goes in here. That is still loaded several times over, but where's... He's coming in here. This is where Kenny is going. Will we see a telemaser enter this fight? And... But those are SAMs. Those are not... He sees it. He runs. He immediately puts up T1 point defences, and there's shields in the way. Point defence is going up, but the shields are broken through. And it's a draw! It's a draw! My dudes, the game has ended in a draw as Sentinel and Kenny kill each other at the same moment. Just died, said Spectre. No, my dude, you died a little while ago, but I can see why you would say that. After nearly an hour of hard-fought back and forth, it comes down to a telemaser duel and a draw. Who wins, my loyal viewers? Nobody. Nobody wins. Tell me what you thought of that in the comments below. Do you think Kenny had a better way to come back than a desperate all-or-nothing telemaser? Do you think that Sentinel should have defended a bit more from, though, in advance from a telemaser attack? Tell me in the comments below. While you're down there, don't forget to like, subscribe, and obey. I am the Commissar, and I will see you next time.